Hello, Year 10. In light of obviously the fact that we're going to have to stay at home for the foreseeable future, I thought it'd be worth kind of creating a video to talk you through some of the main lessons now that Booklet 2 has begun. Um, so I think the key things to know is this is all about development of the plains. The first booklet was talking about the original settlement and people going there. So the years 1862 to 76. Key thing about the booklet is here you've got the creation of the Pacific Railroad, which connected east and west. So just obviously some of you have already gone through this, but it is worth making sure you look at the spec. And the first lesson looks at the significance of the Civil War, followed by the Homestead Act and the Pacific Railroad Act of 1862, and the completion of that in 1869 of the Pacific Railroad. The next lesson looks at the problems facing the homesteaders when they go and try to farm on the plains and the new technology they use to help them. And we'll look at the growth of the cattle industry. The cattle industry is quite a big aspect of the course. It's completely different to anything to do with the US government and the Plains Indians. The difficulties is happening at the same time as this, so we'll have a look at that as well. The back end of the booklet looks at the Native American wars that take place in the 1860s. What we'll try doing in these videos as well is kind of show you some of the main aspects of the different question types. These are completely different to anything other and the other courses. So you've got consequences, a narrative account, and explain the following. We kind of talked about the narrative account a little bit, and then I can obviously create some guidance for you to help you with that. So a couple of things you need to make sure you've done is the flip learning that you would have started with the booklet. There's a lot of reading, but it's really important to understand the importance of the American Civil War for the West. All you need to do is a little read through and just get a basic understanding. Some of you would have covered this in year 8 very briefly when you did the civil rights movement. And the key thing to know really is that the Confederate States here in the South broke off from the North. Obviously, this area at the time belonged to the Native Americans. California, as we know, Oregon, Texas had become part of the United States. But the selection of southern states here, Georgia, Atlanta, Florida, Virginia and whatnot, decide to break off. And the main reasons is they're worried that Lincoln is going to abolish slavery, which is completely what their economy is based upon. So they break away, and the main thing that Abraham Lincoln, the president at the time, needs to do is he needs to make sure that they come back into the Union, and the Civil War is fought as a result of that. So you just need to read through and get a general sense of why it happened and the difference between the Union, which is the North, the United States, and the Confederacy, which is what would have been the southern states who broke off. So what's their economy? Ultimately, the Confederacy relied upon slaves and plantations. You covered that in year 8. The Union, it's all about factories and Americans working for themselves, not relying on slave labor. And that was not from a racist point of view. That is literally an American industrial point of view. They wanted white Americans to work and to farm to increase the economy of the United States. Lincoln will pass 2 laws as the Confederate South leaves. So in 1862, during the war took place from 61 to 65, as you can see here. Lincoln will pass 2 acts, the Homestead Act and the Pacific Railroad Act in 1862, and the key thing is to really know the importance of those. The rest of the lesson is quite straightforward. You just have a read through the information here and you explain the importance of the Civil War based on the 2 following acts we just talked about. The fact that ex-soldiers after the war went west, and also Lincoln frees the slaves in 1863, and many former slaves who are now American citizens also decide to go west. So that's lesson 1. Lesson 2 is all about the 2 1862 acts and a couple of memory hooks for you that you can use. We use a lot of these in medicine. So 1862, 160 acres for you, or there's the more complicated one there, a bit longer, or 1862, time to board the choo-choo. So what you need to do here is, again, there's quite a lot of reading, but it's a comprehension activity. So the Homestead Act is the number 6 is used quite a lot, and you just need to read through the information and use the boxes here to identify, and the pictures identify the piece of information. So for example, here you've got 21, arrow going up, got an image of a female, and you've got soldier and slaves, ex-soldiers and ex-slaves. So it's looking at the benefits, consequences, go to the information, and here you can see that key information. So 186, you could get 160 acres. You had to stake a claim of $10, file a claim as it's called. So you could be over 21 or younger if you were an ex-soldier, starting a new life after the Civil War. Head of the family, intended to have US citizenship, so not off, but it wasn't open to Native Americans. And former slaves could also go. So you'd write that information into that box there. Map of Europe. So many migrants decided from Europe, so Scandinavia in particular, and Germany. Many Irish went over to the west. And you've got obviously more information here as well just to find that. And you'll find, so use the numbers to help you. So look for 1876, 6 million, that's in the Homestead one. 1880, 200 million, that's in the railroad one. So you've got limitations, achievements, and benefits of the Homestead and Pacific Railroad. And once you've done that, you want to kind of think which had the greater impact in settling the West out of those two acts. So just think, use these bullet points to help you there. Lesson 3. So by 1876, 6 million acres of land had been settled with homesteaders. So these were people who had gone west to make a new life. And the key thing you need to know here is really, from what we did in that very first lesson, is what are the major issues with what they called the Great American Desert. So the Native Americans can survive for one major reason, and that is that they're resourceful. They hunt the buffalo, they didn't farm. These white settlers who are now going west, they had many issues trying to settle and had to deal with the climate in particular as well. So this first bit here, you just need to think, right, what are the main issues of trying to farm and be a successful homesteader? This page here shows you a lot of the problems that they faced. So there was clear water shortages. So, you know, there's a lack of water on the plains. There's a lack of clean, fresh water. Where are they going to get their water from? They need it to drink, to survive. They need it to water their crops. The weather, as we know, was a really extreme heat in the summer, 50 degrees, extreme in the winter as well. You know, minus 55 is the record in 1886, 87. It's going to destroy their crops. You know, really, really harsh winds as well are going to destroy their crops. So how are they going to survive that? Fuel. There's no wood. What are they going to do to burn things? What are they going to do for heating and cooking? A lot of dirt and disease. Again, wood, building materials is an issue. Grasshoppers became a big issue as well, eating the crops, protecting their crops, and other issues. So they're all the major problems the homesteaders have, quite a lot. What you need to do is the same sheet is replicated here. Use this image here, this sheet here, which gives you all of the solutions that they had. So use the images to help you to find them. So for example, look here, here's the one that was to do with water. Well, in 1874, Daniel Halliday invents a self-governing windmill. The long screw on the windmill can draw water out the ground, providing them with water. So you'd write that information into the box here. Once you've found all of the solutions, you need to categorize them using these bullet points here. So how did this homesteader solve these issues? Was it because of their hard work and dedication? Was it because new technology was developed to help them overcome that problem? Or was it government action that helped them overcome that problem? And you need to do, the last thing you need to do here, explain the main reason why they were able to successfully farm on the Great Plains. And use those bullet points to help you with that answer. We'll stop there for now. So that's the first 3 lessons, all based on the US government, the Homestead and the Pacific Railroad Act and the importance of them, and then how the homesteaders survived on the Great Plains. So the next video, what we'll do is we'll look through the cattle industry, the long drive, and go through the rest of that.